Welcome to episode 2 of Bitter Coffee, a podcast from two friends who are just about over it. My name's Derek Fanton.
My name is Kelly Coffey. Welcome to episode 2.
Yeah, episode 2.
Exciting.
We're doing it again.
We are. Here we are.
We
Back
didn't
1
get
week
scared
later.
off
Nope.
after the first one.
Nope.
You know, I've been more disappointed in things.
I've been more disappointed in things today.
Great. See? So we're on a roll.
No, I feel good.
I do too.
I don't like listening to myself.
Oh, you're
so
not alone there.
That's always weird.
I've always liked recording my own voice and then hated listening to it. I have no idea why. I've been recording my own voice since I was a little kid talking into my Fisher-Price tape recorder. Never liked the way I sound.
Which is what we're using tonight.
Yes.
Derek's
Basically,
vintage Fisher-Price tape recorder.
On that note, in the first episode, you may have heard some humming or some buzzing or some fan noise. That is my really old HP laptop that we were using to record the podcast. It has been relegated to under the table now because it was on the table before and it was way too loud.
It's nice and quiet here now.
It is. No acoustic tiles, but it doesn't matter.
No, we don't even need the acoustic tiles anymore.
First callback. First callback of the podcast. Pretty excited about it.
You know what else we heard during the first episode?
I do because I edited it.
Crickets.
Crickets. So we expected to hear crickets after we put the podcast out in terms of response to it. But instead, during the podcast, for those of you who listen to episode 1, may have heard a lot of crickets. As I mentioned, we're recording this podcast in the summer here in northern Vermont, and the window happened to be open because it was a little stuffy that day, and it was a chorus of cricket action outside, and not like the cartoony tweet, 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 tweet kind of crickets, just the high-pitched, non-stop whine crickets.
Like the aggressive type of
Exactly.
cricket.
Crickets you don't want anywhere near you, which I think you have some experience with.
Oh my God, you've no idea. Well, it was basically the week of crickets.
Okay.
I'm in the garage last week and I hear a cricket, and I can tell that it's a cricket that's not outside.
Okay.
That I'm hearing through yet another open window.
Sure.
Because it's been hot here in Vermont.
Yeah.
There's a cricket in the garage.
Mhm.
So, of course, I said to my wife, Michelle, do you hear crickets? And her response is, yeah, but they're fine. I'm not bothering anybody.
Right.
I said, but there's crickets in the house. I don't want this form of nature in the house. And she didn't really respond.
Okay.
I felt that I had a pretty solid argument, and it fell on deaf ears. So I continued on with my life.
Okay.
Until 2 days later, I'm in the kitchen getting ready for work pretty early in the morning, and there's a cricket in the kitchen. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen a cricket. They do not look like Jiminy Cricket with like a top hat and a cane.
As it turns out.
They look nothing.
Way more bug-like from what I hear.
They look like cockroaches.
Yeah.
So I lost my mind.
Understand.
So I killed the cockroach and then went on with my life again. And
Squeaky cockroaches, I believe, as they're known.
And they weren't making noises when I saw them in the kitchen, which was more alarming because there was no, oh, it's that cricket.
Cricket ninjas.
And
Yep.
then a day later, I see Poppy, my small dog,
Yep.
chasing something in the kitchen. I'm going to give you one guess what he was chasing.
Was it a cricket?
It was a cricket.
Mm-hmm.
So now I lose my mind. I go back out into the garage, and there's more crickets. I can hear them. There's more of them. There's like a family of crickets. So
Well, now you've wronged them.
I have.
Yeah.
I have. And I ignored them for as long as I possibly could. And then I woke up 3-4 nights ago. It's 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. And I'm woken up by the sound of a cricket. And it's not a cricket outside. It's a cricket in the house.
Yep.
And specifically in the living room.
Oh, boy.
So I wake up Michelle and I said, there's a cricket in the house and I can't sleep. Like almost like it was a riddle.
Like a password to something? Like the eagle flies at midnight?
Exactly.
Got it. Nice.
Or a song.
Oh, sure. I could hear a banjo to that.
Yeah.
Little fiddle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So her response is, well, what do you want me to do? And then my lack of a response was the response. Because I let the cricket do the talking.
Sure.
So she walked into the living room.
Yeah.
She killed the cricket, came back to bed.
Nice.
I fell back to sleep soundly.
Sure.
And I learned a few hours later that she did not.
I mean, that's not on you.
Nope.
That's her. I mean, ultimately, that's hashtag relationship goals, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
You said, this is bothering me. What do you want me to do? Nothing. Followed by action. And I think that's the best you can possibly hope for.
I think the only person we could blame is the cricket.
Agreed.
So
100% agreed. So I hope that everybody enjoyed the first episode of the podcast. We enjoyed the hell out of it. I enjoyed it the 4,500 times I listened to it while I was editing it. So I hope that you guys liked it. Again, if you want to give us feedback, if you feel like we could be doing better, there are ways to do that. How might people do that, Kelly? How might people tell us
like through
what
scolding
they think?
us, or
Yeah, I mean, they can. The people who know us, which is everyone who's listening to this currently, can just give us a call or text us and say stop.
Yeah.
Or give us some kind of more helpful advice. But if random folks wanted to get in touch with us via email, for instance, how might they do that?
They could get in touch with us. bittercoffeepod@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And you're on the Twitter. You have the Twitter.
I do.
don't
I'm
you?
on the Twitter. I'm
Yep.
twitzing on the tweeters.
Yep.
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 So you can get me at Mobydiculous on Twitter. Reach out. Let me know how much you hate my voice as much as I hate my own voice.
And although I do use Twitter, I don't want to use it for the podcast because it's basically just me screaming about politics and yeah, it's an ugly scene.
But if that's your bag, I bet you could track Kelly down on Twitter if you really wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to yell at me about politics, you can find me at Bitter Coffee Podcast.
Weird.
Yeah.
Boy, what a coincidence.
What a coincidence. What a coincidence.
So, all right. So the first episode went well. We're happy about it. But there are some things that we'd like. There are some things we'd like to change about adjust. We're growing. We're evolving. One of the things we're thinking about is maybe there should be some sort of regular things that come up every week that we talk about, or maybe rotate in and out. Who knows? But we were chatting before we sat down to do the podcast, and there's some, we always have a nice little conversation. Again, hearkening back to episode 1, we had a nice, super light meal that consisted of a huge pile of pulled pork and baked beans that your wife procured and prepared for us. So
We're really pushing the boundaries.
I think we're trying to get to that limit. Where's the line?
I go in with the best intentions.
I understand.
I said to myself earlier today, I'm going to have a nice light dinner.
Sure.
It's my turn to buy dinner. I'm going to get something light.
Nice.
Maybe like a pasta and a salad, maybe a bread, whatever.
You could argue that pasta would still not be light, but I get where you're coming from.
I mean, compared to pulled pork.
Okay, sure.
And Moe's
last week, sure.
So, I was driving home from work, and Michelle had called, and she said, I got 2 pounds of pulled pork. And I didn't know if that was a euphemism.
I was going to say.
I had no idea. And I was, oh, that's great. So if things take an ugly turn this evening, let's blame Michelle.
We did discuss intestinal distress on the first episode. We really kicked off the first episode with some very relevant things to our lives.
We did.
So who knows? Who knows what might happen?
It's a get to know you kind of thing.
It really is.
Yep.
More information than you need. So anyway, thinking about things that we might want to include on the podcast, one of the things that came up while we were talking was work. And Kelly and I both had a number of very interesting work experiences. And so we want to kick off a segment of the podcast we're calling Jobs, Jobs, Jobs. So Jobs, Jobs, Jobs is essentially going to be a story or anecdote related in some way to our work experience. And I thought for the first segment of Jobs, 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 it makes sense that we talk about the worst job that we have each had. You got something in mind?
I've had so many bad jobs.
Well, then you've got nothing but great material.
There's one that really sticks out for me.
Okay.
2000.
Okay.
1999, 2000, whatever.
Okay.
I was working at a title agency.
I mean, already.
In Bensonhurst, Brooklyn. And I didn't know what a title was because, I was a renter. And so my job was to create tititles.
Okay.
But as a homeowner,
yep.
Now I know
sure.
Titles don't physically exist.
Right.
So my first question, my first day was, okay, what's a title?
Sure.
Because, there's an agency that's devoted to titles that I'm now working temporarily.
So they exist. They're a thing.
They are a thing, but
right.
They're not tangible.
Physical, right.
So I had asked one of my coworkers, so what is a title?
Mm-hmm.
And her response, I have no idea.
Wait. So one of your coworkers.
One of my coworkers.
Was she also new?
She was not. She'd been there for about 2.5 years.
All right. Great start.
So I asked another coworker, kind of over lunch, so the title. And she said, yeah, and kind of rolled her eyes. And I said, so what is it exactly? You think I care? So I worked as a temp in this office for, I think, 3 months. It was a temporary gig, but I at least wanted to know what a title was.
Sure. To feel like you got something out of the job.
I still have no idea. And I don't think the people that work there know either.
As a homeowner, I could say that I don't really. I understand the use of a title,
The concept?
the concept vaguely, broadly. I don't really either. No, I know that there are multiple people you pay in order for it to happen,
Right.
including an agency.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I guess creates the titles, but yes.
I mean, that's a whole other podcast topic, imaginary things and jobs. Like this is a thing that only exists in our minds, and yet many people are paid to create it or take care of it or make it happen.
And they're not cheap.
No, absolutely not.
They're pretty expensive. For something that doesn't exist, they're pretty pricey.
Absolutely.
And like lawyers get involved.
Oh, yeah.
There's lawyers.
It's a whole thing.
So is it like a zoning thing? I know there was going back and checking some kind of
Yeah,
record,
there's a title search. I
Right.
know of that, sure.
which I was doing just to find out what a title was.
Okay,
but
yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's one of those things that I think goes in the adult handbook that doesn't exist.
Right.
I talk about this all the time, that we need to do a better job of preparing young people, for adulting, as opposed to learning, a lot of things that are going to be useful, but then not learning a whole subset of other information that you're just never We moved into our house. A few weeks after we moved into our house, the boiler died. We had been renting for 10 years. I didn't know where to even begin. I had no idea what one does, other than call everyone you know who's older than you and say, my boiler died. What do I do?
Right.
People have different answers, but those are the kind of things that you should know about. What's a title? How does a mortgage work?
Mm-hmm.
The process of learning to buy a house took twice as long as the process of buying a house, finding a house and buying it.
Is it equal with the time spent getting a boiler fixed?
Just about.
Yeah.
Okay, funny story. So your wife knows many contractors. Your wife
Michelle gets
is a painter.
lot of airtime on this show.
She does.
Yeah.
She does.
I'm happy about that.
Okay, good. I'm glad, because it's going to keep happening. She is a painter, so she knows, as a result, a lot of other various contractors. So the boiler dies in our house soon after we move in. Not only that, but soon after we move, again, out of this building.
Right.
We move into this house and our boiler dies.
Circle of life.
Circle of life. On that note, I, of course, call Michelle to say, who might you recommend to come and fix the boiler? And she gives me a name that seems somehow familiar. And I was just about to call that person when I realized that it was the man we had bought the house from.
No.
Yes. As it turns out, the person who owned that home was a plumber. It turns out we had also met him because he had been here to fix something here.
Here in this
building. And I had talked to him and we had had a whole conversation. And then years later, I bought his home.
It's a small world after all.
Those stories you hear about Vermont and people running into each other randomly and knowing everyone in college used to ask me anytime we saw someone with a Vermont plate, do you know them? It was endearing and also horrible. Some of that stuff is true.
It's true. Absolutely.
It's crazy.
Absolutely.
Those kind of small world things are nuts. Adulting is how I got on that topic.
Back on track.
So I can't imagine working in an office like that. I've been very fortunate in that the job I have now is actually kind of the first, what I would call an office job that I've really had. I would say the worst job I had was probably the first job I had, which is probably a pretty common situation for a lot of people. I worked at the Price Chopper in St. Albans when it opened. It was a big deal.
Grand opening.
I was, as they like to call it, an original employee.
Oh, wow.
Of the St. Albans Price Chopper. And my story is going to be very short because it's one that anyone who's ever worked at a grocery store and shagged carts and bagged groceries, or as I like to call it, a consumables transportation specialist. Anybody who's done that job knows that it's not fun. And I have blocked most of the memories of that job out of my mind, other than I had been to a softball game previous to going into work at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a weekend. I had worn my baseball hat backwards at the softball game.
That's your first mistake.
Sure. You don't want to look like a douchebag. You live, you learn.
Sure.
But I had worn my hat backwards all afternoon and then gone to work. And then about an hour into my shift, I had somebody come up to me and go, ooh, that looks like it hurts. And then not address it in any others, and then just take their groceries and leave. And I thought that they were just talking about my face, right. And I felt attacked. And then a couple folks later, somebody looked at me and goes, ooh, boy, I'm sorry about that. I had no idea
Here's some aloe.
what they were. Yeah, I was waiting for someone to just bring me aloe. I didn't know what was going on. And so I went into the restroom and I looked in the mirror, and as I'm sure everyone is now picturing, I had the worst sunburn on my entire face, except of course for when the adjustment band on my hat went across my forehead. So I had a little dot of red right at the top of my forehead, then a white strip, and then the rest of my face was a mess.
So it was like you're wearing a headband.
Yes, I was wearing a pasty, non-burnt headband of my own making.
It's a good look.
It was a terrible day, but it wasn't any more terrible than most of the days there, because that job was awful. So that was probably my worst job ever. I'm okay with it.
How long were you there?
Too long. I was there for a couple of years, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then
I
moved on to work in food service at Johnson State College.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, not an improvement necessarily, but a different look.
Sure.
Yeah,
I'm just excited because I go there and I never knew that.
My old haunt.
Yeah,
Johnson State. If you ever been to the cafeteria, it brings back memories.
Tip your cap.
Tip my little doff of the cap. Yeah.
Out.
No, I didn't like that job either, but
I had a lot of bad jobs. But mostly because, well, I did a lot of temping when I lived in New York. And I mean, basically, you're just a body in a chair. Right. And a lot of these jobs were before you could just play on the internet all day. You'd have to bring a book and maybe answer a phone if it rang. Oof. But most of the time, jobs that I didn't like were because of the people. Yeah. That I worked with. Right. That's what made it really tough.
I can relate. I think that's ultimately what really sticks out when you think about a really bad job. And maybe I've just been lucky, but I think most of the time, the situations that I've run into, I've had pretty good coworkers, which has been nice. But yeah, it's that is what will make a terrible job.
Yeah, when you dread going in.
Right, because you got to see somebody or talk to somebody. You
stop going there anymore.
Yeah. If only it were that easy. I'm really not excited to come to work today. It must be time for me to go. Right. I'm not going to be in tomorrow. Doesn't sound appealing.
I'm just not going to be in ever. Nope.
Oh, you've hit the no fun to come into work? Well, we understand.
Yep.
Here's a generous severance.
Or not.
No, never.
But then the upside to when you're not working, let's say you quit, let's say you get fired, whatever. You get to watch a lot of television.
You do get to watch a lot of television.
A ton of television.
So great. So last week we talked about Forged in Fire. As it turns out, a very popular show amongst both of us.
Absolutely.
So we thought, what else can we talk about? And we did touch on Top Chef ever so briefly. You made a very excited noise when I mentioned Top Chef.
I did.
So, and that makes me excited because if there's another show that I feel like I could just go on and on about it as Top Chef, and ties directly to jobs, because when I was working at Johnson State College, my dad was a chef, and that's why I worked there, because he ran the food service at Johnson State.
He was a chef. Top Chef. It's like I don't even know you.
These things are going to come out. This is going to be, it's getting to know you and I as well.
Sure.
As well as the audience.
I'm learning right now.
So, Top Chef. Talk to me about what you enjoy about Top Chef.
Okay. There's a few things that I really love. Okay. I love the fact that people can cook and I can't. They make it look really easy. And I was like, oh, I could do that. Yeah. No. I could sous vide that. I like the terminology. Sous vide is a good one. Sous vide. And I also I do like the infighting. I like there's always kind of an outcast. Like who's your favorite outcast on Top Chef? I think I know what your answer is going to be.
Marcel.
Bingo.
Without question.
Bingo.
Without question, Marcel.
There's also Aaron. Do you remember Aaron?
I do remember Aaron.
Not a tall guy. No. But everybody hated him. Mm-hmm. Or maybe hates him, because I'm currently watching that season.
Okay, great.
On Hulu.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, the Hulus.
I don't like when they cry. Okay. That upsets me.
Sure.
Because it's their passion and they're cooking, but if it's not like, I can't believe I was kicked off the show. Right. Like they go into each day knowing that's going to be the outcome. Yeah. For someone. Right. And I kind of have a little bit of an issue with Padma. Okay. I like Padma. Uh-huh. But she seems oddly sedated. Have you ever picked up on that?
Yeah. She's down tempo.
She is.
Yeah.
And I can only speak for myself. I'm going to be in a room with Tom Colicchio. Mm-hmm. I want to be sharp.
Oh, absolutely.
On my game.
Yeah.
On the edge.
Yeah.
Where I got to be.
You got to perform for Tom.
Like Al Pacino in Heat.
Oh, good reference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I gotcha.
That same kind of.
You gotta take take the energy and the commitment up a level.
But she doesn't, and fine, it works for her. It makes me feel uneasy.
Right.
Like every once in a while, she'll just kind of slur her words a little bit, and I think we all do. I do that a lot, just because I have trouble speaking, and I think she does the same thing.
Yeah. Well, maybe she's having too much fun. Maybe that's what the issue is. Maybe it's not that she's not having enough fun or is not high key enough. She's gotten too high key and has had to take it down a notch.
Or maybe she's eating every day. Maybe
sure.
She's like, oh my God,
sure.
I'm in the middle of a bout of meat sweats.
And I've still got a model tomorrow.
Right.
Or whatever it is that Padma does in her off time.
What does she do?
I'm realizing I have no idea.
Was she married to an author, Rushdie. She was married to...
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, we can Google it, but I'm almost certain.
I 100% believe you. I 100% believe you.
I was going to say she was married to Roman Polanski, but...
Famous author Roman Polanski. Nice.
Yep.
No, the Top Chef is an interesting show for me because I share the sort of envy of their abilities. That's definitely something I also can't do, even though my father has tried his best to show me how to do stuff. I can't cook. I can follow a recipe. But the thing that gets me about that show and most of the other cooking shows is like, here are some things, cook something delicious. And how is always the question. I don't understand. How am I supposed to do that? How am I supposed to put that together? I think my favorite thing on Top Chef is probably the palate challenge.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, the palate challenge.
You were going to say that.
And I think that's not an unpopular opinion. I think there are a lot of folks who love that part of the show, but I
think some people will lean towards Restaurant Wars.
Sure. You mentioned you like the kind of infighting. That's the kind of stuff I don't necessarily love about Top Chef. You want
harmony.
I want harmony, but I also want to watch people who are really good at something be really bad at something. And that's the part about the palate challenge that really gets me.
Okay.
So, they hand them, they've got this tray full of, for anyone who hasn't seen Top Chef, first of all, what are you doing with your life? Second of all, basically what they're doing is they hand them
Valid question.
a bunch of different ingredients and they're blindfolded. They have to taste the ingredients and they have to figure out what the ingredient is. It's based on how good is your palate.
And the other people are watching.
In many instances,
so
yes.
So there's a lot of peer pressure there.
Yes, so the people who've already gone potentially might be watching. But what's great is that sometimes it's really simple, really obvious things, and sometimes it's like crazy out there ingredients. The ones that I love the most are when it's like a piece of celery, and they hand them a piece of celery and they eat it and they really think hard. And they're like, rutabaga. And I'm like, I would have known that was celery, even though I probably wouldn't have known it was celery.
Do you know what a rutabaga tastes like?
Probably nothing like celery.
I don't know.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to call me out on my lack of rutabaga knowledge.
No, because I said it with some authority, but...
You did.
No.
I was ready for you to be like,
shit,
school me on rutabaga.
No.
I only said rutabaga because the word is funny.
Right.
There's a whole list of funniest of the things, and I think rutabaga is one of the funnier vegetables.
Okay.
So the palate challenge is so much fun because these people are up there tasting random stuff and they're handing them things. They hand them a little thing of saffron and they put it in their mouth and they're like, is it saffron? And they're like, yes, you got saffron. And then they hand them some lemons and they're like, ooh, is it kumquat? And they're like, nope.
No.
Nope, you're wrong.
Back of the line.
It just gives me joy. It just gives me joy. And when they throw the random things in there, I really enjoy that as well.
Like dirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And they'll really think hard about it. Like they wouldn't just put dirt in this bowl. It's gotta be something.
Mm-hmm.
What is it truffle?
Is it brownie mix?
Brownie mix.
Yeah.
I wonder if they take submissions. I wonder if you could write to them and be like, have you tried paste? Have you tried like artistic, like art paste, like art school paste, and just put that in the thing? It wouldn't hurt you. It's non-toxic.
We can find out. But I will watch. I can't just watch one episode of Top Chef.
No, that's the
I can't watch less than.
That's the antiquated way to do it.
3.
Yeah.
That's my minimum. That's my bare minimum.
Yep.
I will plow through a season in a day or two.
We've had a really fun time in television watching where
we have.
You don't even have to worry about when things are on anymore.
Nope.
You don't have to worry about, I missed an episode. I don't know what's going on. Just watch the whole season. I love Hulu. We have all of the things. We have Hulu, we have Amazon, we have Netflix. We don't have YouTube Red. Seems a step too far. But
I can't make that leap yet.
yeah, we're the same boat.
What are you watching right now? Are you Are you in a show right now?
We tend to go in and out of shows for some reason. We get really excited about a show. We watch a few episodes and then we miss one and then we don't bother to go back and watch it. We were watching Castle Rock on Hulu.
Yep. The
Stephen King universe show that's kind of based around Shawshank Prison, and it's really interesting. I know none of the backstory. I'm thinly read as
Is Morgan Freeman in it? Does he narrate it?
He's not, which really hurts it. Yeah,
it.
The Shawshank was really lived or died by that. As it turns out, Shawshank Prison, not a great protagonist.
They call it Castle Rock.
Exactly.
For no reason.
Exactly. Crawled through filth. That's all I ever think about with that movie. So we were watching Castle Rock. We were big into the Marvel universe for a period of time. We were watching all of the Marvel shows, and then we realized that we were the reason they keep making terrible Marvel shows because we watch all of them.
Oh.
I don't know if you saw Iron Fist.
No.
Terrible name.
I mean,
terrible character name. No.
No.
No. We'll get onto the topic of movies Kelly hasn't seen at some point.
I think that's a whole
other podcast.
Different show, because I have people that are angry with me because of movies that I haven't seen. Like, I will admit to someone.
Wait, before you get into that, the podcast audience is thinking, that seems really judgmental. I mean, how could anybody be angry at somebody for not seeing a movie?
I have really judgmental friends.
And also, wait till you hear the list.
Okay. I mean, we can touch on it a little bit.
We'll get into it in another episode.
Yeah, but just as a hint, as a taste, I've never seen any of the Star Wars movies. And here's the thing.
The crowd freaks out.
I know. And there is a newscaster. Is that the proper term? Somebody who reports the news? A newscaster on a local TV channel?
Talking head is what we call that. But
okay.
Yes, newscaster.
There is a talking head on a local TV station who follows me on Twitter. Oh. And he commented on something that I had, some angry reference to me being angry about everything. And he responded to it.
Yeah.
And he said, he supported what I said and said, oh, by the way, I call bullshit on not seeing Star Wars. He called me out on my Star Wars.
Wow.
So then my response was, why would I lie about that?
Right. Yeah. I don't see the upside for you.
No. And it's in my bio. I can't really talk about what's in my Twitter bio right now because I just can't. I can't for a host of reasons, most of them connected to family. I can't get into it. And I've
Gotcha.
Anyway.
If there's anyone who's been on Twitter recently, I think you'll understand.
Right.
It's the whole world of Twitter these days.
It's a whole thing.
But yeah, so are there things that you guys are watching currently or that you're watching? I know that you have separate TV interests from your wife.
We do.
Which I think appreciate.
And I think it kind of has to be that way. Just to put it in the proper perspective, if Michelle were to come over to your house and watch TV with you and Hannah, she'd be set for the night. She watches all the same shows that you guys watch.
Perfect.
I can't.
Okay. Understood.
So we will watch Scandal.
Oh.
How to Get Away with Murder.
Okay.
Criminal Minds.
Sure.
Like a lot of murder shows.
Yeah.
We'll watch murder shows together. Yeah. We were into Damages for a while.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And we stopped watching because it was the beginning of season 3. And I was under the impression that a dog might get hurt. So I cut ties.
Yes.
I cut ties.
Oh, that's a funny story. We didn't watch that show because you mentioned something about a dog possibly getting hurt.
Damages.
And
it's the same reason I never watched The Leftovers.
Okay.
Because a dog dies. Your wife told me that a dog dies in episode 1.
Yep.
It's Justin Trudeau, not the Prime Minister.
I never thought about how similar their names are.
The Prime Minister of Canada.
The Prime Minister of
Canada. One of the stars on the show.
Yeah.
Justin Thoreau.
Great way to build a constituency.
Is jogging in the first episode, and his garbage is flying all over the place. And then a dog dies.
Wait, by his garbage?
His penis. His cock and balls.
Okay.
Are flying around in his sweatpants.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
You did mean what you meant. Okay.
No, yeah. His cock and balls. And then a dog dies. So it's like...
Huh. Boy.
Thoreau, penis, dead dog. Like, I can't get past that. And plus, he broke Jennifer Aniston's heart, so I can't support him. I can't support him. So,
by the way, if he was ever in a porno, it would be called Thoreau Penis.
Oh, yes, it would.
It would.
So, what I'm watching right now, I'm watching Top Chef, but those I can just rewatch and rewatch.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get back into Project Runway.
Oh, wow.
Because that's kind of my antidote for our current political climate.
Okay.
Because it's just Tim Gunn and Heidi being happy.
Making it work.
There's people making dresses.
Yep.
And they're making it work.
Yep.
And
we could all use a little more of that.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So Tim Gunn, Tim Gunn is like my spirit animal.
Nice.
And the other show that I just started watching 2 days ago, season 2 just started on HBO. Deuce. Have you heard about this show?
I've heard about Deuce.
I think it's important to bring up since it's our second show.
Sure. Nice.
Yeah,
Good tie-in.
It's a weird
Great
dovetail
work.
right there.
Great work. Are we circling back to porno? Is that the show about filming porno? The Deuce?
It's 1971, Midtown Manhattan.
Okay.
And there's sex workers.
Got it.
James Franco. James Franco plays himself and then also his twin brother. So that's a little...
Oh.
And he also directs.
Okay.
So he directs 3 episodes.
Right.
With himself and his twin brother. Like, how do you do that? Yeah. So I'm maybe 20 minutes into season 1, episode 1.
Okay.
Because I fell asleep because it was late.
Happens to the best of us.
It does. And that's pretty much all I'm watching right now.
We tend to binge. We do the same thing where we're like, we're going to watch this entire show, and then we run out. We're done with the season or the seasons, and then we struggle mightily to come up with what is the next show. Because we've watched all of CSI. We've watched...
Really?
Yes. That was that was a big part of our early... I was never into crime dramas. It was never my thing. Hannah always loved them. We started watching CSI. I kind of fell in love with the characters. We've watched the entire thing.
Aren't there a lot of them?
Well, I only like the original CSI that takes place in Vegas. There are many spin-offs that I don't really get down with, but I don't know how many seasons of CSI, like 16 or
There's
something.
A lot.
There's a lot. We've watched all of that. We watched all of Supernatural. We loved Supernatural for a period of time. We've watched all of Criminal Minds. Criminal Minds is a great show.
It's a great show.
And then I watch the competition shows. Hannah's not into that world. I watch the Top Chefs. I watch the Fortune Fires. And of course, British Baking Show.
I haven't watched that show.
We will get into that on another episode. I think we need to have a talk about British Baking Show.
I feel like you don't want to talk about it right now. You're like, you know what? We'll get into that off mic.
There's a lot to talk about with the British Baking Show. There's a lot of machinations. There's a whole, there's new hosts this season. It's a whole thing.
Iron Chef?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back in the day. Not as much now.
I can't find it now.
Yeah, it's certainly not as popular as it once was. It was a thing. It was in the social ethos for a period of time. Everybody was talking about Top Chef, or not Top Chef, Iron Chef at one point.
Iron Chef.
Yeah.
Good show. Now there's people that used to be on Top Chef that show up on Iron Chef.
Yeah, Marcel being someone who has been on multiple shows. I
didn't know that.
Yeah, he's made the rounds on the Food Network.
Interesting.
Yeah. In terms of other things that we wanted to make sure that we got into this podcast, one of the things I really liked about the last episode was something, again, that happened very organically, which was just sort of the random question. The random question about sort of what was the best thing we had eaten. I like the random question.
I love the random
We live off random questions. And so the random question that I think I would like to pose this week is, what's the worst CD you've ever bought? There's going to be a lot of music on this podcast. I feel like Kelly and I, as we mentioned, are both music fans. We like audio things.
Not music that we can play.
Not music that we can play in front of our podcast. God
forbid.
forbid.
That's fine.
But I think there's going to be a lot of music talk, and I would love to know, what's the worst CD? Best is going to be harder to pick, but I bet you've got a worst CD you ever bought.
The worst one I've ever bought? You'd think it would be a difficult question.
I was expecting you to wait and have to edit out a lot of sounds.
Nope.
Okay.
I know the answer. Watermark by Enya.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
I bought it in a mall in New Jersey.
Mm-hmm. You remember where you were.
Of course
it's like
I
Burt
was.
Reynolds.
Right. I think we all remember where we were.
We do.
I was in a mall in New Jersey, and my girlfriend at the time worked in a record store, and I heard the song, that Sail Away song.
Right. Oh, okay. That album. Okay.
If
the Enya album.
If licensing didn't prevent us, I'd be playing the song now as a point of reference. But
I'm just too good a singer, otherwise I'd sing it, but it'd still get flagged.
Right.
Not
but
true.
it's
Not
the
true.
Sail Away song.
You know it.
And I really liked it because it has this. Now it sounds oddly repetitious, but at the time it was just strangely soothing.
Sure.
And I was like 20 years old. I was 19 or 20 years old at the time, so I didn't really know what I was doing.
Right.
But I was really into REM at the time, so it seems strange that I would buy Enya CD.
That's a stretch. That's a reach.
Just yeah.
Good for you though, for getting outside of your bubble.
No, it felt great.
Yeah.
So I was listening to the song in the store where my girlfriend worked, And I said, hey, I really like this song. And she said, it's good, right? And I said, do you think the whole album is like this? And she said, yeah, how different can it be?
Sure.
And it's
famous last words.
It's pretty bad. It's definitely a bad CD. And I would hide the CD when people came over, so they didn't know that I listened to Enya. Because I did listen to it every once in a while.
Enya can't be, like, kind of entered the lexicon as, if you listen to sort of new age, as people would probably have said then, weird music.
Right.
Enya was sort of the, like, poster child for that.
I think she was new age before it was new age.
Yeah.
I think
So
she was just...
Just age?
It was
Is what you're saying? Age music, not a genre. I worked at FYE. I don't remember that section of the store.
You did work at FYE.
I did. Yeah, I worked at FYE, the once popular music store.
What does FYE stand for?
It stands for your entertainment. People called it FI.
That's what I always called it.
That's what we called it, and we're told explicitly not to.
Did you answer the phone? Fi, this is Derek.
Fi, Derek here. No, I didn't. God, I answered a lot of terrible phone calls. Do you have that?
Thank you for calling Fi.
Do you have that song? It goes like, bah, 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 and there's like a trumpet.
Please hold.
Exactly.
Sure, let me see.
You
Let me see if we have
nailed
more
it.
in stock.
Joe, there's somebody on line 2 for you. They have a question. God, that place. Good story about that place that I think you'll appreciate. In the same vein of trying to find music for people. Somebody came in. This was probably 2001. I could look it up and see when this song came out. But he was a repeat customer. He'd been in there a lot. So I had talked to him before. I had helped him find things in the past. And it was always usually pretty easy stuff that was on the radio. He came in one day and he said, I'm looking for this song. He was really excited about it. He said, I heard it. And I want to say he said, I heard it in the club. I bet he didn't say that. I bet he was like, I heard it at a bar or something. But in my head, he said, yo, I heard it at the club.
In the discotheque.
Exactly. The discotheque. And it's this song. And the lyrics are something like, he's talking about a house, and then he's talking about his balls.
I love that song.
And then like sweat dripping down his balls. I think most of the audience is probably aware that that's a Lil Jon song.
Yes, it is.
As, you know, from the window to the walls till the sweat drips down my balls.
Yep.
I had not heard the song. So I'd like... I mean,
now it's stuck in my head. Oh, wait, that's Usher.
That's Usher, but
Sorry.
Same era.
Same thing.
You got it.
Same thing.
Era mix up. That's
Yep.
a totally understandable thing to do. You'll have to all put yourself in the mindset of someone who's never heard that Lil Jon song and then have some random guy. There's a song about a house. That's my favorite part. Windows, walls. He's like, he's talking about his house.
Oh, I see.
And then he's talking about his balls. And sweat dripping down his balls. I thought this guy was insane. I thought he was just a nut off the street who was never going to buy any of those CDs.
Sure.
Ever.
I don't blame you for having that reaction. Because sitting here so many years later, I still feel that would apply.
Yeah, you can see where I was coming from. I did, out of courtesy, walk over to the little like look up your music thing that we used when people would ask us questions and we didn't know the answer. But I got there and realized, what the hell am I supposed to search for? Because I'm pretty sure sweaty balls isn't going to come up with the song.
House balls.
House balls.
House,
is it
comma,
house
balls.
Hey, do you know is it house balls? Just yell to him across the store. That's probably my favorite FYE story. I worked at that store for a few years. Worked my way up to management.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I did. I was a manager at the Newington, New Hampshire
My whole
FYE.
image of you is just completely blown. I'm learning
kind of a big deal, Kelly.
ton about you
Kind
tonight.
of a big deal.
You are.
Managed an FYE.
Worked at Johnson State College.
Worked at Johnson State College for a period of time.
As a culinary artist.
Yes.
Yeah.
Price chopper as a consumables transportation specialist.
You've done a lot.
I got a resume. LinkedIn profile's pretty packed.
Yeah.
So
I worked many, many years in retail, but like mostly at the Gap. Which was like, it was the most awesome job in the whole world.
Okay.
And if given the chance, I would go back there tomorrow.
Nice.
But like to my 20-something-year-old life.
Oh, I gotcha.
Where, my rent was $212.
Right. Where you could make
with,
ends meet working at the
5 people.
Yeah.
But I worked at Borders in the World Trade Center.
Oh, wow.
And my boss was not a person who had a sense of humor.
Oh, those are my favorite people.
Ever. Oh. And he would say really weird things, like he would talk about a policy or a procedure, and he just used really horrible terminology. He would say, well, we got to get this done so we don't gum up the works. Like stuff like just horrible. I was just a horrible human being. So I was working at the information desk helping customers, and it was in the World Trade Center. So we were super busy first thing in the morning, and then at lunchtime, and then in the evening. And somebody came in at lunchtime. I was working at the information desk, and they asked if I could point them in the direction of the self-help section.
Okay.
And my response, because, I'm kind of a jerk, I said, well, wouldn't that defeat the whole purpose? And my boss was standing behind me, and he pulled me off the floor like it was a punishment. I was like,
give
great,
you a
I'm
high
out.
five?
No.
Oh.
I was written up for it.
Really?
Yeah. The customer thought that it was funny, but my
I hope so.
manager did not. So.
Wouldn't that defeat the purpose?
Yeah. They agreed.
That's great work, Kelly.
They agreed. I think it was a valid question.
It's interesting because podcast time goes by in a different way than normal time. I would say we've been talking for 20 minutes.
25 tops.
I glanced down at the now relegated to under the table laptop, and we've been talking for an hour.
We have not.
Yeah, I'm going to probably edit this down to way less than that.
That's fine.
But it's crazy
totally
how
fine.
fast things go. So I think we should probably wrap this thing up.
I say we wrap it up.
All
I
right.
think I've
Anything else
covered,
you want to touch on?
I think I've
this
covered
week?
everything I want to talk about this
Okay, great.
week. It's always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure podcasting
chat with you.
Well, thanks for listening, everybody. Thanks for listening to Bitter Coffee. You can again reach out to us via email at bittercoffeepod@gmail.com. Again, coffee spelled Coffey. You can get me on Twitter at Mobydiculous, MOBYDICKULOUS. And for Kelly's Twitter, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. She's gonna use Twitter for her own and her own devices.
It's my own bully pulpit,
Exactly.
I guess.
If you enjoyed the podcast, we'd love it if you'd subscribe. We try to post new episodes every week. That's the goal. If you are so motivated, please do leave us a review on iTunes as well, or wherever you're listening to this podcast from. That really helps us out. Our intro and outro music is Hold Me Down by John Worthy and the Bends, and we will talk to you all next week. Have a good one.
Bye, guys.